Hey all, boardgamerants here, where you'll find everything solo tabletop gaming and more. Pipeline, gonna do a solo variant review. It's an unofficial solo variant by Freight Train 12 on BGG. Let's have a look at the game, and I'll tell you what I'm thinking on the other side. Pipeline. Well, you might be able to guess what the game is about. We'll take a quick look-see here. And then zooming in here on this board, which is, of course, filled with pipelines. We've got 4 sections here. You're only going to be able to take out of 2 sections the first year, 3 sections the second year, and all sections on the third year. And that will be recorded there. So every time everybody takes a turn, you scooch it down, and then you scooch it down, scooch it down. There's going to be a little bit of a tidying up before you start year 2, and you go down, a little tidy up before year 3. And you'll notice too that you progressively get fewer and fewer turns. Over here, you're going to keep track of turn order. Here, this is keeping track of the level of pipe you need to refine your oil. And that's randomized. There's actually 3 more here. You flip them all over, you mix them up. You're going to have numbers anywhere from 4 to 7 that pop out. And so, to refine oil from crude all the way up to its finest, you can either make a chain of silver pipes that equals 17. If you do blue pipes, you'll need 16. And if you do orange pipes in this particular game, you'll need 16 as well. Or if you just want to refine any one of these 3 color oils to its low quality level, well, you just need a length of 4 or 6 or 7. That is all done when you come down here and you grab yourself some pipes, and you get to start building your pipeline, which is certainly the most fun part of the game. And as you put these together, you can really do whatever you want with them. You can kind of, you can't do that, but you'll put these together in a way that creates the lengths that I just, talked about there. So you're going to want to, and you can mix and match too. You can have this silver pipe running in that blue pipe. It's not nearly as efficient as you can imagine. That sort of negates the whole purpose of trying to create a nice clean pipeline. But you can go whatever length in any direction you want. That's why I have this space here. And now, for instance, I have a pipeline for orange of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 segments. In blue or teal, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 segments. It's just each one of these little nubs here is a section. And you can keep track of that on your board. Right here, you can keep track of, how far, how in one move, how much you can refine blue oil or orange oil. And when you do that, you're going to be selling your oil. You're going to be either selling your oil through contracts right here, which contracts you would take and you'd put next to your player board, and you have to fill that. It's something you've got to do every year. Otherwise, you're going to lose that contract and you're going to lose money. Or you can fill orders. So once you have the required level of oil in a particular order, you just take that oil and you fill it and you get your money. Just sort of a quick, you don't have to take an order and then you just take it right off the board as soon as you can fill it, well, on your turn. Or you can sell your oil to these markets, these refined markets. You can make some big money. So again, you've got the crude oil, which is just, when you buy it off the board, it's crude oil when it's in these sections here of the refined markets, and there's 1, 2, 3 refined markets, or up here in the crude market section, you can buy it and it gets progressively more expensive. You work your way left to right each year, but then at the end of the year, part of the cleanup is to refill a certain amount of cubes so that it gets cheaper to buy at the beginning of the next year. But you could also buy it from the refined market, but ultimately you usually sell to these spaces to get the money. And you've got your low level, which is where it's barely got anything in the little drip icon. And then medium level, and then high level oil. And this looks more like medium well to me, but whatever, that's medium. And on your board, so here's where you're going to be keeping track of when you purchase oil. Typically you're going to buy your crude oil, and you're going to stash it down here in your tanks. And you start off with a certain number of tanks. And maybe I've got a couple, maybe I took the refined market action, and for 10 total bucks, I bought 2 blue oils. I'd stash them right there. Then if I took an action that allowed me to run my oil through a blue pipe, then based on the length of that pipe and based on what I was saying up here, you have to kind of just see how far your oil levels up, so to speak, gets refined. In that case, if I ran that pipe, I would just go up to there with one oil. You can only run per turn 1 oil through 1 pipeline. I couldn't, for instance, run both these oils through that. It's just one. Which is why maybe you're going to create a network of a bunch of blues or a bunch of oranges or a combination, because you're looking to fill up a particular combination of order. Or maybe you have a contract here that requires, low grades of each type of oil. And then, as you can imagine, if you fill contracts or orders with the higher level oils, you're going to probably make more money. And it tells you right there, 30 bucks per low grade oil used to fill an order, 45, 55, and up here, 20, 35, 45. And it also tells you here on your board. You've got nice little reminders here. So what do you do on your turn? Well, you're going to take your little meeple, and one of the basic things you can do is go over here and run one of your pipelines. So when you put your meeple on there, you have to just look at what tile it is on, and any pipeline coming off of that tile you can run once. So for instance, I could run this orange pipeline, and I could run this blue pipeline. I could run this one too, but it's only one length. It's not going to do me any good. You don't have to start like at the beginning of one. You just gotta, whatever tile you're on, you can activate all those pipelines, and so there's going to be a maximum of 3. That's not necessarily true, I guess, but kind of works out that way. Well, I guess it is. It is going to be a maximum of 3, right? Because, or maybe, I don't know. That's all I've ever been able to do. Moving on, you can run your pipelines. I could run my blue pipeline by going on this tile if I wanted, but it would probably make more sense to do that so that I could do the orange one. So now, the other thing you can do is go out here and just buy pipelines. And you just kind of go in one of these quadrants, here, 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 here. And then wherever you are, you can buy that tile, and then you can buy any tile that's orthogonally adjacent to it. And so if I bought this tile, then I could buy this one, or this one, or this one, or this one, but I wouldn't be able to buy these 2 because diagonals don't count in that one turn. And it tells you here how much it costs. 5 bucks for 1, 10 for 2, 20 for 3, etc. So that's another action you can take. So run your pipelines, buy your pipelines, and then you've got your actions. Well, let's see here. You got your refined markets here, which if you place your meeple there, you go to that particular market, and then you can either sell oil or buy that particular type of oil. So sell orange and blues here, buy grays. If you go to a refined market here, you can sell orange and grays, buy blues. Refined market 3 works the same way. You always have to sell before you buy. So those are the 3 down here and pre-printed, and then up here you got a pre-printed crude market. Here you can just go up here and you can sell or buy just straight up from this crude market. And then the other thing though you can do is one of these. Now these just kind of, they're always the same 4 actions, but they kind of come out in different orders. You put them out, in different spots so that, upgrades isn't always associated with refined market 3, because when you take a turn, you can actually you can extend your turn by spending some money to take the action that's adjacent to it. So that is a very important part of the game, is kind of getting that down. And it's gonna vary, because these are gonna come out randomly in different spots each game. It's part of the setup. So if I wanted to do contracts and loans, that allows me to go over here. I can pick some contracts and I can take out loans. If I start running out of money, I can take out loans, 15 bucks at a time. But that gets expensive, because you have to pay those loans back plus interest. And the more loans you take out, the more expensive it gets at the end of the game. I can go to tanks and pipes over here. So tanks, again, you need tanks on your board in order to be able to store oil. So if you don't have places to store your oil, you can only have so much oil, or you can only upgrade it so far, because, you know, I've only got 2 storage spots to put refined oil. I might want to build this up so I can have more, you know, just more leveled up oil than 2 at a time. And then also too, there's a little section when you take tanks and pipes, you can buy from these, the same sort of thing as here. You just got to spend the money to get these pipes. Or you can go up here and you can take the machines and pipes action. These machines allow you to take them and you put them on your board somewhere, and now you can spend money at the end of your turn, usually 15 bucks, to run any pipelines that are on or operated by that machine. But it kind of hampers you too, because now you can't just take, you got to be careful. I can't just run this blue pipeline now. I have to use the machine to do it. Typically, you need to spend money to run those machines. So there's something to it there that you got to keep in mind. Also tends to shorten up your pipelines pretty quick. The last action is upgrades. So upgrades allows you to go over to here, and for 20 bucks, well, you can purchase up to 2 upgrades. And you have to start with level 1s, and you work your way up to level 2, and then you can buy level 3, but you can only buy each type once per year. So if you want a level 3 upgrade, you're going to have to buy an upgrade each year, because when you buy it for that year, then no one can buy upgrades from there for the rest of the year, including yourself. So then you have to wait till next year when things reset, and then you can buy the next level, and then the next level. And these things, they do all sorts of things to help manipulate, make it cheaper to, I don't know, run machines, make it easier to just take pipelines for free, make it easier to increase the level, like for every 4 lengths of pipe, now it adds basically a level to your pipelines. You know, if you use engineering, it just you can make shorter pipelines that are more efficient. A lot of times you can only fill your contracts once a year, but if you have this upgrade, you can fill your contracts twice a year. So there's all sorts of stuff here that kind of have a theme to them as you get them. And there's 2 other types of upgrades. You always remove randomly 2 types of upgrades per game during setup, and that's what you got this turn. So that is, you know, all your actions out there. And then you will be, and again, a very important part is when you're taking actions, knowing that you can take the action adjacent to it by spending $10. I could do this first and then go to the crude market and buy some oil if I wanted, or vice versa. You can't go, you know, from here and then spend 10 bucks and end up over here. You actually have to, there's an upgrade that allows you to do that. But for the most part, you can be taking up to 2 main actions per turn if you got the money to do it. And it's all about just building your pipeline, building it up, and maximizing the money that you make. And then at the end, you're going to have some end game scoring stuff to consider, and this is one of them, these valuations. So these are basically just end game scoring things that you'll want to keep track of. There's a nice little pile over there that you randomly take out. There's one that you'll always score, this one where you score your machines, but the others come out randomly, 3 at a time. You'll also be scoring according to if you have any more oil left on your board here, you'll get some money for it. It's way better if you can, typically it's way better if you can just sell it. You get a lot more money that way. Pipelines, you'll look at your network there, and you know, for every pipeline that upgrades from crude to low, you'll get 10 bucks, or from crude to medium, you'll get 20 bucks, etc. So you get money for pipelines, then your valuations, then penalties. So if you've gotten any loans, for every loan, each one you have to pay back and some. You know, the first loan's not so bad. You get 15 bucks, and at the end of the game, you got to spend 20 bucks to pay off that loan. Take out 2 loans, though, and now you've gotten $30. Well, now you got to pay 50 at the end of the game, etc., etc. And then at the end of the game, it's whoever's got the most money wins. So how does this all play solo? That is done right over here. Thanks to these pipeline solo rules, Ludwig. Thank you so much to John Koch, BGG at Freight Train 12. This set of rules here, which I printed out, runs the AI. Very easy to implement. Don't let, don't let it, there is an easier solo fan-made version, and I played it once and then I immediately went to this one. This is just much more kind of an automa style that I prefer. When it is the AI's turn, you're going to basically draw a card, and depending on which year, it's going to tell you what action it does, and sometimes to zero in on just, clarify that particular action, sometimes you have to draw one of these decision cards and then it'll have a little set of things, and you have to just pick the one that pertains to that particular action. And this particular solo variant has multiple levels. You can see I've got easy decision here mixed in. I have finally beat this variant one time on easy. And I played this game almost 9, 10 times. But once you get better at it, I imagine, then you can start using these normal decision cards, which I took out some of the normal decision, for basically the normal difficulty, and put in the easy decision cards. And you've got hard decision cards over there if you want. So that's just, I just printed them out and I hand wrote down there. You can make them way more fancy if you want. There's a little, I could have printed out all these if I really wanted. The Ludwig decision card deck. If you want, you can do that. I don't know. I didn't bother. I am just very appreciative that this basically runs very, very easy to implement, and it really gets in there and messes with your strategy. And also too, then at the end of the game, you'll score Ludwig, and you either win or lose based on you're actually playing opponent rather than just trying to get the most money at the end of the game and try to beat your own high score. Ludwig, very tough to beat. Let's go ahead and talk more about what I think about Pipeline. Okay, so the first couple times I played this game, I was kind of like, that's it. There's not that many, there's not like these complicated actions. It's just sort of like you build pipeline, you put it together, and then you buy and sell oil, and it's just kind of, it's sort of rinse, repeat. And the first couple games felt like that. And I first tried a very basic solo variant, kind of an impeding type solo variant, which was great to learn the game. Pipeline is not difficult to learn how to play. It's the mechanics of the game are extremely straightforward. And again, after playing it a couple times, I was like, but I realized too that I got, like 200 points. I don't even know if I got 200 points the first game. And then I think I got like 270 something the second game. And then I was just sort of, I liked it, but it was just like, well, this is going to get old kind of fast. But then I tried the fan-made variant that I showed you, the automa-style, and played it on standard, and it scored like 600 something, or was it closer to, I was 600 money at the end of the game, 600 something. And I was like, what? But that's when I noticed something, that this game has little $500 chits. I'd noticed them before, but I hadn't really thought about them. Why are those there? when you're only scoring 200 or 300 points, you don't need those, right? Never going to need those, but they're there for a reason. And I would suggest that anybody who plays this game, do not pass judgment until you've played a game where you've actually had the pleasure of using those $500 little chits. Because now you're onto something. Now you're on to what this game is really about, and what makes it so enjoyable, even though the actions are sort of like basic, not difficult to understand. But the planning that this game, you can go to a whole nother level if you, I mean, there's games where you got to kind of that start out a certain way, and you've got, okay, here's the end game things, here's the upgrades or whatever, and here's the tiles laid out. Okay, here's, wow, it's expensive to refine blue oil this game. You've got, and then now you got to make a plan to basically take advantage of all that in this very limited time you have in these 3 years, and it just gets shorter and shorter and shorter. It is so satisfying to pull off some of these turns. I mean, some turns it's just like, they feel so like, I didn't really do anything. I ran, a piece of oil through one pipeline. That was my whole turn. And maybe in the beginning, that's not so bad. But in the later years, especially, where you've got a little money and you've got your pipelines and you got some machines, well, now, I mean, you're running stuff and selling stuff and then running stuff again, and making a bunch of money in one turn. Suddenly your actions become, and you're measuring in your head, okay, is it worth the $10 to take the extra turn? A lot of times it is, because you want those extra, they're not free actions, you got to pay for them. You can get an upgrade though, to where you don't have to, if that upgrade's available. Anyway, this game, it is meaty. And if you play it fast, I mean, you're just not going to score well. You're just not. I mean, you have to put some thought into this game, and that's where the real cool gaminess comes out of this game. And it just changed everything. Once I realized, okay, I'm not even doing justice for this game if I don't score at least, if I can't touch one of those little $500 chit marks. I have no right to have an opinion on this game until I've got one of those in my hands by the end of the game. So, that all said, running through this game real quick, the setup is, it's a bit, it's going to take a good 15 minutes or so when you first pull it out, and then it takes a good 10 minutes to kind of reset the game. Because there's tons of pipeline tiles, tons of them, and you're trying to shuffle them all up and get them, out there. And but so, there's not a terrible setup and tear down, but there's you're going to spend a little bit of time, even when you have it set up, and to reset it, again, it takes a good 10 minutes. Table space takes up a lot of table space. You got to have room for your pipeline. So a good, standard 3x3 coffee table, it'll eat it right up, even just playing solo. So, I was playing on about a 4x6 space there, and that's about what you need. Length of play is up to you, man. If you want to blast through this and just take one turn at a time and score nothing, then you can play in probably half hour. Quite frankly, you want to get into this game, you want a good hour. This is a good hour of play that's just solid, and I have no problem too with just sitting there and thinking about my turn and looking at the pipe tiles and trying to figure out how you put them down. And it's wonderful. The time spent in AP, this is some of the best AP time I've spent. The components, solid. I wish there was something other than just little cubes for the oil. And I'll bet you I imagine though they might have some upgraded components coming out for something like this, because I'd be interested. The game, the little cubes, I wish I had something cooler running through my pipelines and looking at a colored cube. Anyway, but the component quality was pretty solid through and through. The theme is just, it's just a basic Euro with a pipeline oil producing theme. There you go. There's your theme. That's all you need. That's all I wanted, and it's perfect. It fits. The art was immediately recognizable to me, but I couldn't put my finger on it. But then I realized, it's right on the cover of the box. Ian O'Toole, who does who I know through Vita Lacerda games. It's all there. It looks like his artwork, and a lot of people love it. And I don't know, I find it fine and stuff. So the game looks good. And the rule book is remarkably, it's just an easy game to learn. And you just blow through that rule book, and it's like, no, that's all there is to it. It's just really only a handful of pages to really learn the game after you've set it up. It's like 4 pages or 5 or 6, I don't know. And on the sides, it's all basically examples of play. So it's just very easy game to learn. But you know, that typical easy to learn, hard to master, that's this game. So there's just, yeah, because of that, there's a lot of strategy in this game. There's next to no luck. When you're playing the AI, it's going to grab some stuff, but you know, you got to just keep that in mind. And that's what would happen if you were playing, you know, 2 players. Things would be taken and blocked off, like upgrades or whatnot, or certain pipeline tiles that you really wanted. You've got to go after them. And it's just a tremendous amount of strategy in this game if you really put your thought into it, and you're really going for some big money, big scores at the end of the game. You've got to put your head to it, and it's wonderful. It feels great to pull it off too when you get over that 500 mark. The whole solo unofficial variant that's done here is awesome. I mean, it could have come with the game and been the official variant, and I would have been like, wow, that's a great variant. It's that good. The Automa is awesome. So I highly recommend it. This is twice now. Tash Kalar, I think, is another one that I played that had an official solo variant this year that I really appreciated and did great to let me play this game that had no official solo variant. Pipeline, I basically, you know, took a risk getting it, hoping the unofficial one of them was good, and I came out like a bandit on this one because it is fantastic. It comes with difficulty levels. I finally beat on easy. I finally beat the AI one time, and very satisfying. Anyway, it's a great game, and if you're into solo games, even though this doesn't have an official solo variant, all you got to do is go on BGG, print out some cards, print up those rules that from Freight Train 12. It's awesome. Love it. Till next time, thank you for watching. I'm boardgamerants, and I'm out.